So Jimmy Garoppolo and the San Francisco 49ers are in a pretty interesting situation now that their season is over, losing in the NFC Championship game to the Los Angeles Rams. And you feel like at most times if a quarterback took your team to the NFC Championship, there wouldn't be this idea of moving on from him. You would think that, okay, he took us to the NFC Championship, we're probably going to bring him back. But clearly, I think when you look at San Francisco, they're in a completely different situation with just how Jimmy G has played in the past few seasons, how he's constantly dealt with injuries and missed games, and the fact that the 49ers spent a very, very high round draft pick on Trey Lance. They moved up 9 spots, traded away for 3 first-round picks to come in there and draft Trey Lance 3rd overall in the 2021 NFL Draft. So looking at this 49ers team, personally, I honestly didn't think they're going to get as far as I did in the playoffs. I am a Packers fan, so sadly, I witnessed Jimmy Garoppolo come in there to Green Bay and beat us in Green Bay. I was at that game, and it was definitely sad. He did go out in the NFC Championship game, and it's sort of crazy to look at that team and see, with the play of Jimmy Garoppolo being, I'd say, as average as it was a majority of the time, the fact that they were able to get all the way to the NFC Championship game, I think that shows just how good the 49ers defense is. It shows just how good their rushing attack is, and as well as Deebo Samuel. And so now coming into this offseason, coming into 2022, when we take a look at the salary cap situation for the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo's, his salary cap hit basically coming into 2022, he is scheduled to count $26.9 million against the salary cap in 2022, finishing off his final year of a 5-year deal that he signed back in 2018. But if the 49ers decide to move on from him, they will save $25 million on their salary cap by not having Garoppolo, and he will only have a $1.4 million cap hit in 2022. So first off, regardless of what his cap hit would be, like let's say it wasn't a ideal scenario to move on from his contract, you would sort of look at his play and say, okay, like he's been an average quarterback, he's been okay at times, he can manage some games, but overall he's not an elite top 5, top 10 quarterback. And I think that when you look at Trey Lance, clearly we don't know exactly what we're going to get from him at this point, but he seems to have a much higher ceiling than Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think that, sticking Trey Lance into this 49ers offense is honestly, I think in the next couple of years could be pretty scary for other NFL teams, just looking at how good and exciting, Trey Lance was to watch back in college, just his ability to escape the pocket, his ability to break away and run, and adding him to that 49ers offense, potentially doing some read options, things like that. I think it makes this 49ers team, that much more dangerous. And I think when you look at this past season, clearly with him being in his first season, they wanted him to learn behind Jimmy Garoppolo. They didn't want to, hand the reins over to Jimmy Garoppolo or to Trey Lance right away, which honestly I think makes sense. But now when you take a look, you add the fact of Jimmy Garoppolo's average play. In his past 6 games in the postseason, he's thrown 4 TDs, 6 interceptions, has a 49.3 QBR, so not great in the postseason in the recent past, even though he did take them to the NFC Championship game. But then you take in his average play, and then you also throw in the fact that moving on from him frees up about $25 million of cap space. I think it's a no-brainer that the 49ers will move on from Jimmy Garoppolo and likely trade him to another team, because there are lots of teams right now that are in needs of quarterback. Most people are saying right now, too, this draft class when it comes to quarterbacks isn't as great as it was last season. So I think a team will likely want to come in and trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. And when we take a look at a quote from Jimmy Garoppolo in the past couple weeks, it seems like he thinks as well that he will likely, not be with San Francisco, at least from this quote right here. So he says, "I was talking to John yesterday about finding the right destination, and whatever the future holds, just doing it the right way," Garoppolo said. "I've got a long career ahead of me. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the opportunities to come. I just want to go to a place where they want to win. That's really what I'm in this game for. I'm here to play football, win football games, and as long as I've got that and good people around me, I think the rest will take care of itself." So he's basically saying, I want to go somewhere, where I have the ability to win. It really doesn't seem, like he's going to stay around in San Francisco. Just when you add up all these different kinds of factors, especially the fact that the 49ers traded 3 first-round picks to move up 9 spots to draft Trey Lance. I don't think you do that and then decide to, continue to pay Garoppolo that massive contract that they would be paying him coming into 2022. So it sort of seems like a right moment for them to move on from him, sort of hand the reins over to Trey Lance and sort of see what he can do and sort of what he can develop into. And so now for Jimmy Garoppolo, the question is, what team could he potentially end up on? I found some odds here. I think it was on a 49ers blog, And it shows these odds right here. So right now, the top option is the Buccaneers at plus 350, of course, with Tom Brady retiring. Who knows what's going to happen there with their quarterback situation. We got the Steelers at plus 400 with Ben Roethlisberger retiring. We got the new Washington Commanders at plus 500, Broncos plus 550, Panthers plus 700. You can see the rest right there. But there are definitely lots of quarterback-needy teams this offseason, so it will be interesting to see what kind of deal the 49ers could potentially get for Jimmy Garoppolo. I've been seeing some people think they could potentially get a second or third round pick in return for Jimmy Garoppolo just because of how many teams right now want a quarterback. And Jimmy Garoppolo, even though he hasn't been, a top 5, top 10 quarterback, he can still manage a team, manage a game, and, put him on a team where they have a solid defense and a pretty efficient offense, and he can do pretty good, as we saw with him being in San Francisco these past few seasons. He can carry them pretty far, with the way that he plays. So it will be interesting to see sort of where he ends up and what the future definitely holds for Trey Lance as well. But if you guys haven't subscribed, I put out NFL content, Packers content on this channel. So feel free to subscribe if you guys want to see more content like this in the future. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time.